40th Ask Tamily interview. 40th! We are going to be interviewing Alicia. Her Instagram name is @OneAliciaLee. So if you're not following her, go follow her after the interview. Don't leave us yet. She is on, so we're just going to add her. And it worked perfectly. So in just a moment, we should be connected. Hi!
Hi!
How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
Good. We are very excited to have you for our 40th Ask Tamily interview.
Yes,
Can't
me
believe
too.
it's
40. Congratulations.
40. So thank you so much, Alicia, for joining us. What country are you in?
I'm in Australia, in Sydney.
And
so, yeah, down the south end.
What time is it there right now?
It's 8 a.m. right now here. And as you can see, I've got long sleeves on. It's starting to get what we consider cold here now.
Yeah.
So it's like 20 degrees. So I know for some people that's not really cold, but for us, we're complaining now.
Yeah, it's starting to be winter there.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us from so far away. I'm glad the connection works so well. That's why we love doing these interviews.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And thank you for arranging the time so I didn't have to get up at 2 a.m.
No problem. So we want to jump right in with our first question that we love to ask everyone. When and how did you start the Tracy Anderson method?
Okay, so I had my daughter in 2011 and I had gone to the salon to have my hair done after the baby like you do, and I hear that it's like this. I don't know if it's like this across the whole States, but I know I've read stuff about salons being the place where things happen and you find out really important information as a woman in the salon. And my hairdresser told me about this workout she had heard about, which was Tracy Anderson, and that you could do it at home. And, my schedule at the time meant that, with a new baby, getting out to do a workout, which actually I never really liked doing. I always found it a bit of a hassle. And so that really appealed to me. And I had done, like way back in the day, I had been doing like Buns of Steel and the Claudia Schiffer workout, like when they were on video. That's how long ago I used to do them. And so I had the mat and the post-pregnancy. And I just started doing those, and I just alternated those like 4 to 5 times a week for quite some time, like probably a couple of years I did that. And I had amazing results just with those couple of videos. And I remember seeing a girl that I had worked with only during a contract while I was pregnant, and she saw me afterwards and she was like, wow, I knew you were small, but you're tiny. And I was like, well, and I'm thinking, I wasn't like this before the pregnancy. Like, I was never really overweight, but I certainly fluctuated and I didn't have that long, lean look that I suddenly was like, oh, what's going on, this really is drawing me in, just like she said. And then I've just continued from there. I went to Meta, and I wasn't one of the dedicated girls that stuck it out to the very end, because when streaming came out, I was like, oh, I stuck with continuity for a little longer, but I just really wanted to try it, which I did, and then loved it, and have stuck with streaming ever since.
Excellent. That's such a great little story. We've never heard someone say they learned about it from their hairstylist.
Yeah. At Amanda Blonde, she's called, if on her Insta handle, if anybody's in Sydney and needs their hair did. Yeah.
So what's your routine around the streaming workout? Do you do advanced, IMC? What do you do?
I had mixed it up a bit between IMC and MC, Attain Fundamentals, up until around 6-7 months ago. And I just, for some reason, it started to really resonate with me that why don't I try sticking with the one lane? Everything else that Tracy has said, as far as giving us information of what the strategy is, has turned out to be correct. So why am I avoiding committing to, at least trying to commit to one lane. So I did that, and I stuck with Attain, and I found that my results did, of course, increase once I did that. And I think previous to that, perhaps I wasn't ready, and I couldn't sometimes keep up, like just the pace of it. If I did it every day, I would become too fatigued. So I think it was a natural progression as well. So now I do pretty much always stick with advanced, but I did incrementally work towards that. I started with, like I said, the mat ones and meta, and when I did those, I never did the dance cardio. I only did the half hour, which at the time was like, at the end of the half hour, I'd be like, I can't believe that was only half an hour, you know. It was a lot for me in the beginning. And then with mixing it up between intermediate and advanced, I never just solely did intermediate. I always did a mix of the two. And then, now I have committed to the advanced. But even having said that, admittedly, if my schedule is too tight, or I've got a lot of other stress happening, or I've been, like yesterday, I went hiking. If it was a particularly hard hike, which thankfully it wasn't today, I would probably do IMC. So I do adjust it if I'm feeling fatigued, or if my balance of food hasn't been right or something, and I'm low on energy, or I haven't had enough sleep for some reason. So I do try to be intuitive about it, but pretty much advanced for me now.
You can really see that, the need for the right rest and nutrition, though, when you do the advanced workout all the time. Like, you eat something unhealthy, and it makes the workout harder. Like, or
it really does. It really does, yeah. Like, I notice it so much now, because anybody that follows me knows that I don't cut any food groups. I eat everything. I drink wine. And if it's a particularly hard Attain masterclass week, and I've been finding the more consistently I'm doing specifically masterclass all the time, the advanced, now I'm like, where I used to have some chocolate in the evening, it's not that I don't want the chocolate, but I'm like, I actually need the nutrients from the real food, because I need that energy. Like, I just can't, the chocolate will taste good, but it's not going to give me the support I need to then do what I want to do. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have a pear and some nuts or something, because I need to feel the energy. And the more that you do that, I think, certainly for me, I can really feel the quality of that energy very strongly. And it's a very noticeable difference.
Absolutely. So, now, do you ever do dance cardio, or do you stick with the advanced only?
I stick with advanced only. I never do dance cardio. I've tried it a few times because it's like, I like the look of it and it's fun. But my joints, ever since I was a child, they're not strong, particularly, knees, ankles. You can see my skinny little wrists. Like, I just don't have solid joints. And whenever I do anything with impact, whether that was running or treadmill or stairmaster, it could be anything with impact. And obviously I don't have sprung floors, but even with, like, I tried doing the trampoline workout, because I thought that might help. Even that for me is too much impact, and my ankles will literally swell up. So I do love it, and the cardio obviously is a health benefit. So anyone that loves it, kudos to you for being able to do it. But for me, that's the main reason I don't do it. And also I found, fortunately, that I haven't needed to in order to get the results. So that 1 hour of advanced is enough. Yeah.
And if you're consistent like you are, it is a full, complete workout. It is cardiovascular. Dance cardio, so I love it when we have good examples that you don't need it. If you want it, there, and for different people it's a different mix of what they need. But I mean, Tracy said it before too, the hour-long advance is a complete workout.
Oh, totally. And I feel like it does, like you said, have a cardio. It's because of the pace of it a lot of the time. It is very cardiovascular, which I love so much, because I can't do the other.
Yeah.
And also time-wise, it's very time efficient, so that makes it very strategic to get, like, rather than say doing, because I'm an ex-fitness instructor, ex-yoga instructor, and I used to follow the bodybuilders and actually did that kind of workout many years ago. And so rather than spending a whole hour just pumping weights, which kind of boring I found in the end, and then like just stairmastering it, like it's so much time, and then add on the travel time, the logistics of it as well. Like you're half the day in the gym, so I find this to just get a solid hour. I've got my cardio, I've got my muscular structure happening, and I'll use a lot of words probably that Tracy uses because I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. She says it so well. Like the lines that have been created from the workout that she has made, it's just delivers all of those things in such a compact way that I think, well, yeah, I'm doing that.
I'm sorry, my puppies are interrupting our workout.
That's okay.
They learn how to open doors, so
oh, nice.
Yeah, open them by themselves all the time.
Why not?
Right. I don't want to lie.
I'll be hosting these interviews for you next.
So we also wanted to ask you, being that you are so consistent, how do you get and stay motivated to work out every day almost?
Okay, so this I find such an interesting question. I don't stay motivated every day. And I think that's really important. I think sometimes people, and particularly on social media, it can seem like someone is just motivated all the time and that it's easy for them. And maybe there are those people, but that certainly isn't me. Some days I'm not at all motivated. I want to sit and watch Netflix for like 6 hours, but I do it anyway. So that's it. I allow myself, and that's my advice is allow yourself to be unmotivated. That's okay. That's normal. Like if we walked around and say if I woke up every morning going, I can't wait to do my workout. Like I'm just so excited. Like that's ridiculous. Like to be that excited about anything in so much every day, I think is just unrealistic and sets an unrealistic expectation of ourselves, which then of course we spiral into like feeling bad about it and go into a tug of war of do I do it, do I not, have I ruined the whole day, and all of that sort of stuff can just become a bit of a snowball. So if I feel unmotivated, I allow myself to feel unmotivated. I get my workout gear out of the drawer and I get down here. You can see I'm in my room where I do my workouts because my router's here. And I just get on the mat and I do it anyway. Some days I feel really motivated, some days not. The food definitely helps. Like we were just talking about, if I haven't eaten well, then it's harder to get motivated because physically I feel, deflated and not as energetic. But yeah, I just do it anyway and work through that, and then the motivation ebbs and flows just like anything in life. So I don't expect it to be on all the time.
That's a really good way to put it, because we do put so much pressure on ourselves, and we think, you look at someone that's posting their workouts almost daily, and you think, well, how can I feel that way? When that person is like posting because they don't feel motivated either, and they're trying to, be consistent themselves.
And the posting is part of the motivation for me. Like on a superficial level, some things that do help me to be motivated in those situations is pick out my favorite workout outfit.
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting that everyone should go and buy new workout gear every time they feel unmotivated, but I sometimes do that because depending on the level of lack of motivation that I'm having, a new outfit can really perk me up. Even though it's a superficial thing, it gives you a window into becoming motivated.
Yeah.
It gives you an access point. And same with like just setting up my room and the way that I like, and just starting to think about maybe what I'm going to have afterwards. Like sometimes it's my cappuccino. Like thinking after this I'm going to go and get a cappuccino and I'm going to feel so satisfied that I did this, and going back to remembering my results as well and how I felt, getting that perspective and trying to lift myself up to have a bird's eye view and go, now, remember how you felt when you took a 6-month break? You didn't like that. It didn't work out well. So you don't want to lose momentum and go back there because it didn't work and you weren't happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that is an excellent, excellent point. Have you ever personally been to a Vitality Week or a studio?
No, I haven't. Being in Australia, it's obviously quite a long haul for me, and I was scheduled to go to San Diego last year, which unfortunately was cancelled. So I do have the intention, and it's on my vision board, to go to the Hamptons in August. We'll see what happens with that.
Okay.
And if not that, I am going definitely to the US for a big family trip in 2020. So if not this year, definitely next, I'll be going to the studio, and perhaps Madrid as well, because we've got family in Europe, so we go there quite often. So one way or the other, at some point you will see me there.
Okay. Well, you have to let us know if you go to the Hamptons in August, because I'm going to be there too.
Oh, yay! That would be awesome.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's even more motivation.
Yeah.
What would be your advice, and actually I know we were talking about this a little bit, but what's your advice to someone that's new to the method and not feeling motivated or consistent yet?
Okay, someone that's new?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all is just to not judge yourself against people that are making their workout look perfect online, because even for me, and it's another thing, like, and I'm guilty of this because I have a certain level of vanity, and I want to show my best self, and I totally edit what I'm doing. Like, there's moves some weeks where I'm falling all over the place. I don't put that up there. Sometimes I do, just for a reality check, because people will comment, and I want to share that it's not like you see, it's not so perfect all the time. Like, I'm falling on my ass as well. And that can be demotivating to people. It's also just to keep going. And if you can't do it all, don't stop and go to the bathroom. Don't, go make yourself a drink and allow interruptions. Continue. And if you can't do a move, don't keep pausing it. And, just do what you can and keep the flow and keep moving through it. Execute as best you can. Watch the breakdowns. Those are really important all the time, but especially when you're new. Reach out to the community, because we're all so supportive and so strong with each other. I think that really helps. And then if you want to, and I'm not plugging myself at all here, not necessarily me, but anybody, if you're really struggling and it's something that you've never been able to really commit to, and you always fall away from it somehow, exercise, food, getting to the goals that you want, is get a coach. And yeah, I'm a wellness coach. A lot of people who follow me will know that. But whether it's myself or somebody else, that can just accelerate your progress and break through some of the mindsets that are stopping you so much. And I've had a coach myself. That's why I can speak from experience of the effect as a client that it has. Is like, I would say, different obstacles and goals that I had, it's accelerated to the point of like taking 5 years off the time I could have spent reaching for the information and motivation and sifting through my own BS to get where I wanted to go. Like, it just cuts straight through it. So I think, if you try all those first things yourself and you're still not able to be consistent and get where you want to go, I would say, get a coach, because Tracy's a fantastic coach, but we obviously can't all be one-on-one with her. So if that distance is stopping you, then I would say try coaching to just push you that extra. And it also is, it's never a long-term thing. It's the whole purpose of it is to become independent, to arm you with the tools so that you then have a whole new independent lifestyle that keeps the results that you wanted, and you're just rolling with it.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's definitely like taking it to another level that you don't necessarily think about.
Because you don't have to do it alone. It's like, and I think as women as well, we often feel like, I have to do all of this myself. I can't. We love to help others, but we don't want to accept help.
Right.
And like, often sometimes people will even offer you help and you go, oh, no, I'm right. But really, you're going, actually, I could really use the help. Or later on, you're like there they're setting stuff up for whatever it might be, and you're like, man, I should have taken that help.
Yeah.
You know. So so accepting help where and sometimes like just the DM conversations that I have with different people that reach out are really helpful, both for me and for them. Like to just help each other in an informal way as well.
Yeah, exactly. What challenges have you personally faced in doing the method?
When I've had injuries, obviously that's been tough. I've needed to modify, and the mindset part of that has been more difficult than the physical. And then a lot of fear comes in about losing my results, about getting back to the consistency again, and I think the challenges are more around mindset than the physical in general. So even like we were just talking about with the motivation, that I think is the biggest thing that's difficult and that brings up fear. It's like even going on holidays, which are I know that you often talk about that sort of thing, like travel and holidays with doing workouts, and it's like, if I take a week off for holidays, am I going to completely forget why I do this and I won't want to do it anymore when I get back, and I will have backslid and not know, forget how I did this and not recommit. I'm rambling a bit. But I guess that's how it feels. That's why I'm rambling. It becomes suddenly, it can be very confusing if I have a bunch of different stresses and they form a perfect storm. Like, say, for example, if I do school drop-off and my daughter hasn't got her shoes, which has happened, we've arrived at school without shoes, and we have to go back, and then somebody cuts in front of me in the traffic, and I know I've got a tight schedule, and I'm like, oh my God, am I going to make it? Am I going to have time to get my coffee? And then, something else, and then all of a sudden I can be just not motivated to do the workout and just feeling anxious, and that can be a challenge. So it's the consistency thing again, is what I'm getting back to, it's consistency is very strong and a very powerful foundation to have, and you need to lean on that, and I certainly lean on that, and that's what I always come back to, because it's both the challenge and the support at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with this community.
Yeah, and I hope that all made sense when I was thinking it through as I was saying it. But yes, I think it's keeping that balance of consistency when life is happening around you.
Right. I mean, it might feel like you have all this stress going on, but you can use the workout for stress relief.
Yeah.
Look at it from just a different perspective.
Yeah.
What is something you have personally learned from Tracy?
I would say the consistency piece, again, it is where that really sunk in for me. She talks a lot about that and certainly models that very well. And when I first heard her speaking about results, and I was drawn to her back in the day when she would talk about getting teeny tiny, lean and long muscle, which I still love, that balletic physique. It's something that I aspired to when I was young, and that I grew up like looking at that kind of physique, which I really liked. And I believed it, but I didn't know the level to which it would continue to evolve. And she did say it. Was like, if you're consistent, your results are going to improve year upon year. And I thought, oh, I am getting results and I'm enjoying the workout, so I'm certainly going to continue. But I wonder if, as I'm getting older, because I'm turning 47 this year, and I'm like, I wonder if that's even possible. And it is. I was like, when I look in the mirror sometimes, I'm like, wow, I just can't even believe that this is me in this body that has been able to respond to this workout in this way. And I mean, of course, the food choices have a large part in it as well. Yeah. But when I did the workout for years without really making great food choices, and as soon as I made the great food choices, all those years of creating that structure underneath, it was just already there. It was like, boom, it just came out and was revealed. And I was like, wow, even workouts that I had done. So, and the other thing that she said, which resonated with me, which I will tell you, you guys can decide what you think about this. I remember her saying, if any of you saw it, one day you'll be able to eat that whole tray of cupcakes and it won't affect your weight. And now, obviously, that's not something you want to do every day. And I thought, how can that be true? But I'm going to give it a go anyway. We'll see. And I've never actually tried to eat a whole tray of cupcakes. But I did eat my whole Easter egg at Easter, and it didn't affect my weight. Like, you really can have indulgences in a balanced way. And because, and I found this, which is another thing that I wasn't expecting, is scientifically I expect what has happened is that my base metabolic rate has gone up so much and my body fat has gone down that I'm burning enough energy now that I'm eating more than my husband. Like, I eat more, I eat as much, pretty much like I did when I was a teenager, which is so enjoyable to not feel. And it's been that's another challenge that I've had, is needing to shift my mindset from years of going, I have to restrict my diet in order to stay thin. I have to count, and I've never been a big calorie counter, but I do have an awareness of it. How can you not, with all the information that's out there as a woman targeted at us these days? So I've always been like, I shouldn't have a massive serve of anything. I should be aware of, like, having this size breakfast, and portion sizes should be this big. And particularly since I've been doing advanced, I've just found, wow, I need more food. and so that's been really exciting. And that comes back to the tray of cupcakes thing, which I guess that wasn't, I got a lot more from that than probably was even intended, because it's not about eating the whole tray of cupcakes necessarily, but it is about having freedom with your food, which I think so much of the information out there is, particularly for women, is about restricting it. Whether it's, and I don't want to slam on any diet that works for somebody, because everyone's different and different ones work for different people. But certainly for me, and I've tried, all the fad diets that were out there over the years, and in the end, if I feel restricted, it's not sustainable in the long term, and it didn't give me sustainable results either, because I couldn't stick at it. So being able to have the exercise that's strategic, that created not only the aesthetic design that I wanted, but raised my base metabolic rate to a point where I can eat what I want, and healthy foods, but treats as well, and still stay in shape with, and just have that feeling of freedom. And like Tracy was talking about at the end of the workout this week, that feeling of opening up and expanding and going, yes, I am grounded, I'm here, I'm open to everything, and it's not a controlling thing like restricting your diet. It's a sense of self-confidence in being able to make the right choices for my body, mind, and soul. All that from the tray of cupcakes. That's a little learning from Tracy.
That is. I had not heard the tray of cupcakes before. I like that. Do you have any, well, we mentioned this a little bit too, but do you have any particular tips about staying consistent with the method while traveling?
Yeah. First of all, take your gear. Take your gear with you. I know it's heavy, and it's like sometimes, and it's so ridiculous, sometimes I'll think, well, but if I put my heavy weights in, how many pairs of shoes can I take, or like, how much shopping can I bring back if I do that? And it's like, pack less clothes if you know you're going to shop, but put your weights and things in there, or be prepared to buy them there. Where if it's a lot, like I talk long haul because everything's long haul from here. But if you're doing short haul, then obviously you can just put them in your luggage and it's fine. And I have like really lightweight mat that I even cut in half, so that I can like fold it up super small so that it fits in my
Idea.
luggage. Yeah, so that at least I've got something for my knees wherever I am, and that works really well. And then having said that, unless you're traveling all the time, if you have like a family holiday for a week, in those scenarios, I actually make a call as to whether I'm going to work out or not. Like say last year, we went to Fiji, and my daughter hadn't been there before, and we hadn't done a holiday like that for quite a while, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take the week off. I'm going to sleep in, we're going to go for breakfast and walk on the beach together, and I'm not going to worry about working out. Like a week off is not going to destroy my results or shatter the earth. So I think sometimes it's a case of really getting quiet with your mind and thinking what is going to be more nurturing, more balancing, and like when I look back on this in a few years' time, am I going to go, oh man, I didn't work out in Fiji, like that ruined my trip? No, I'm going to go, I had a fantastic fun time with my family, and we slept in, we got up together, walked on the beach before breakfast, and then had a beautiful, amazing food in Fiji, like most tropical places. So really healthful choices. So that, I guess that's a point as well, stay on track with your food. So even if you're not working out, I strongly recommend not just hitting the buffet like you've never seen one before when you're traveling, because that can derail your results and start to build momentum in a direction you don't want to go. So as long as you're sticking with your food, I think it's also fine to take that time off. But with your work schedule, and I know some people that travel have a work schedule that's just mad. And if that's the case, if you need to just do a half hour like multitask instead of your full workout, like you've got to make sure you're getting enough rest as well. So I wouldn't, personally for me, if it means that I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning, no. Because I'm just too compromised, and that's when I think also injuries can happen, because you just, whether it's an injury in the gym or injury doing your workout, or whether it's an injury as you're going about your day, if you're tired, like I don't know if you have this campaign over there, we have a driving campaign that says don't trust your tired self, and it's, there's research to support that being tired is the same as being drunk. It's so like that's something to keep in mind when you're deciding.
Exactly. Excellent points. Because I think you can feel like so guilty if you're not gonna do the workout, especially once you become consistent and you let yourself off the hook for it. So that's very good advice. We have a couple of questions coming in live from the chat. So Aggie would like to know, if you could learn anything about your future or yourself through some work of magic, what would you ask?
Well, I do believe in, and I hope people don't start to think I'm a whack job when I say this, that I do believe in intuition and being able to get some guidance from the universe and stuff like that. So I actually do ask those questions to a psychic that I see. So I guess not that I have definite answers, because obviously there's lots of different things that can happen. But questions, what do I ask? I guess future success. Like I kind of fluctuate between thinking, do I want to like expand my business into something really large and influential, or do I just want it to kind of be, just something for me that I engage on a micro level with some people that are aligned and drawn to me, and vice versa, and just like hike and play tennis and spend time with my family and watch Netflix and eat good food. Because I see, like, and Tracy's a prime example. Like, I look at what she does and I think, how does she even fit all that in? Like, where is the downtime? Like, because I love my sort of, I was going to say guilty pleasure, but it's not even guilty. I just love it, is to have like a nice cup of tea and watch Young and the Restless.
Uh-huh.
You know, I've watched it for years, and so it's like, how would I fit Young and the Restless in? You know, if I was committed to, you know, like managing a larger business. So yeah, that would be my question: is what would be the right direction for me to take with that?
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing to think about. Aggie always asks these like super deeply, always does.
The tough questions, the big questions.
We have another question from Mom of 3, and she said she loves hearing your story, and she would like to know, during your coaching work, do you recommend TAM to your clients?
I do, because it's worked for me. And so when they say, and a lot of people, like, just being honest, people say, I want to get that definition. I want to make my body kind of like yours. I want to get that in my own way, but, you know, to get leaner and have those lines. And I'm like, well, if that's what you want, then this is the best way I've found to get that. So, and certainly not invalidating any other kind of exercise. And I always say, you know, if you've got something that's working for you and there's something that you enjoy, obviously do that, because any exercise is good. You know, any activity or any kind of movement that you enjoy is going to have a benefit. And before Tracy's method existed, people did get fit. You know, people did shape their physiques. You know, there was, you know, like I said, I used to do more of like a bodybuilding style workout, like body shaping competitors. Obviously, they had a way to do this, you know. And I used to teach step Reebok when it first came out, you know, and there were fit people in the class that had nice physiques as well. So there's lots of different ways to do it. And some people like running, and you get the picture. So I certainly don't exclude other things, but also in the context of the fact that they've come to me as a coach for help, usually clients are looking for an answer. So I would tend to recommend TAB because that's what I do and that's worked, you know, most effectively for me. And a lot of people that I get are either mums or time poor due to their work schedule. And Tracy's workout, you know, like we said, at home, fits to your schedule, travels with you, strategic so that you're getting maximised results in the smallest amount of time. So for all of those reasons, and I'm not to say either that there's not anything else out there that could deliver, but it's not something I've found yet. So definitely I do recommend it, but I always make it clear as well, like, I don't work for Tracy's company. There's no affiliations or quid pro quo or anything like that happening. It's simply that it's that good. Yeah.
And, you know, they say, like, the best workout for you is going to be the one that you do. It has to be the one that's the right fit for you. Of course, I think Tracy's the best, but it's because it's the best for me. It really has to match for the person. You know, and it isn't for everyone, but you know, that's one reason the community is so great, you know, to see so many that are like-minded.
Totally. And I want to share, because one of the other reasons why I was drawn to Tracy and why I like these workouts is because they remind me of the workouts that I very first took in the 80s. When I was about 15, and our local squash centre had aerobics classes, and I can remember this woman so clearly. She was called Sandy. She wore a terry toweling headband. She had really big hair, but a lot of her moves that she did were quite similar to what Tracy does, and a lot of them, like Jane Fonda's workouts and Buns of Steel, that kind of lots of, you know, rotations and leg lifts and the small hand weights we used to use. And it was before all the Fitness First chains and stuff like that. All the gyms over here, at least, were independently owned. So they were family places. And there was a real community about it. And when that changed and it became all the, and not to discount Fitness First for, you know, what they provide, it is valuable. All of those sorts of places do have a market, obviously. But for me, when it changed, I so missed the fact that each instructor would just make up their own class, you know, and like we would hang out, like our squash center had the aerobics room, it had a weights room, it had squash, it had a cafe so that you could have like a juice or whatever up. It was totally like that movie Perfect, you know, maybe without the drama, but you know, it had that feel to it. And when and I used to go on the forum when Tracy's website had the, like, it was more before Instagram was big, and we used to go on the forum, and right from then I was like, oh wow, this has the feel to it, like when I used to go to the squash center. And so that's something that that's kept me going as well, and that's a motivator.
Definitely. I think that really sets it apart from a lot of other fitness methods.
Yeah.
Why is your workout personally important to you?
I find it a mental clearing time for me, a time when I don't have to think about anything else. And as you can see, I'm fortunate to have my dedicated room for doing my tan cake. And my family know to, like, they will come in and out. You'll see them in my videos sometimes, but they know not to interrupt me too much. I do get packed lunch questions during my workout and things like that, but generally that it's time for me, and just knowing that I'm doing something that gives me results and makes me feel good, not only while I'm doing it, but then throughout the day I just feel a level of confidence that I didn't have before, and so that keeps me coming back. And I really like the variety of it, as well as just doing different moves and feeling like that. Because even though I don't do the dance cardio, I find even the masterclass, the choreography makes me feel a little bit like a dancer. And it is like Tracy says, it's kind of my little performance, you know. And that comes back to the posting of the videos, which, because I'm sure some people think that's really strange, like posting your workout. But it is sort of like a performance, and when I go to edit it at the end, I'm like, yeah, I did that shit, you know? And it's kind of just makes me feel kind of cool.
Right. Yeah. You know, none of us think it's weird at all. Totally normal.
Yeah, everyone does this, don't they?
Right.
Because if I don't post my workout, I'm sort of like, did that really happen?
Right. Exactly. It doesn't count.
Not unless you post it.
So what is your exact routine with your workout, and how do you fit it in your life with, you know, everything else that you have going on?
Yeah, it's easier now. When I used to work full time outside, like in an office, I used to get up at 5:45, and that's when I did better. So I only used to be able to do a half hour then, and the job was more demanding. As my daughter's gotten older, and I always had this in mind that I wanted to work closer to home, work more from home, and have a more flexible schedule. So incrementally over the last 8 years, I've moved towards that. So now I pretty much work from home most of the time, and I have I've got my coaching now, so it's much more flexible, and demanding, but in a different way. So now most of the time, if I know I've got a packed day, I'll still get up at 5:45 and do my workout then. If I don't have a packed day, which I try not to have that more than a couple of times a week, because I find, and I know some people get up early really well. For me, I don't like to have to be in action before 6.
Yeah.
So if I can, I prefer to get up at a bit more of a leisurely pace, like sort of 6:15, and it's not a big difference. 6:15, 6:30, because my daughter's 8, like she's getting up anyway. But I prefer to kind of ease into the morning rather than like bang, I'm in it. So then I will wait till after school drop off and do like a 9:30 workout.
Okay.
If I've got clients, then I may shuffle that a little and do it like 1:30 or something after lunch, because then my eating schedule comes into it, because if I leave it too late, I'm too hungry, so then I have to wait till after lunch to do it, because I can't, I just find it too hard food and the workout at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So so I do shuffle it a bit, but the one thing that I have found doesn't work for me is evening workouts. I just don't like it at all. I have done it a couple of times, but really a handful of times. The evening for me, I'm much more of a daytime person. And I'm talking even back in the day when I would go out in the evening before I had my daughter. I would always be the one that'd be like, am I uncool if I want to go home now?
Yeah.
So I really don't like an evening workout. I find it energizes me to a point that I then can't wind down and go to sleep. And my afternoons are quite busy with other family stuff at school and homework and gymnastics class for my daughter and things like that, and getting dinner ready and all of that kind of stuff. So I prefer to have it done by school pickup.
And yeah, I mean, you have to do what works for you and fit it in how you can. I think it's always interesting to learn how people do it so you can find someone that you relate to, because some people really, morning workouts are their thing, and others it's like they cannot do it, and it's okay. You have to find that works best for you.
Yeah, everyone's definitely got a different sort of rhythm with what time of day for anything works really well. And it's like how some people can not do breakfast, and I can't do that. That's just not an option for me. And that's why the morning workout as well. If I do a 5:45, then I can have breakfast after. But if I start any later than 7, then I've got to push it because I have to have breakfast first. I just can't function effectively and can't execute the moves, which is another point which I don't know that we've talked about, so I'll just pop it in here, is about how Tracy talks about executing the moves, and which she's been talking about a lot the last few weeks, how important that is to your results. Just can't be emphasized enough, is to get that full extension and really engage everything that you can. And that's where the performance, and back in the day I was an actor, and it's about that really embracing the performance of it. And it does sound and feels contrived and a bit silly when you first start doing it. You're like, I feel a bit, it's just me here, there's no audience, I feel kind of silly. But it really does engage your body and brain to a different level, that things do start to change. And it's being able to, that's something else I learned from Tracy, is to trust that it actually does work. And you don't have to have and I know it's really hard for some of us, and in certain areas of my life this is difficult, to just have, in a way, kind of a blind trust in your intuition that things are happening that you don't need to understand. You don't have to understand and break it down to a scientific level in order for it to work. So, and for me, certainly, once I let go of that and went, I don't need to know every detail, I just need to do it. And then if it doesn't work, and I say this to my clients, if it doesn't work, you can go back to what you were doing before. But guess what? It did work. So I'm going to keep going now, and I do even more. And now, the more that I have done that, the more I trust. And so now I don't question so much when there's a new approach or a new idea. I'm like, I'm going to try it first. And it brings to mind a yoga teacher that I had many years ago called Donna Fahy. And she said, which I think is a really nice way to put it, is she said, I value creativity, but try my way first. So I do that now with Tracy. I'm like, okay, I can tweak and rebalance if I need to, but she's put a lot of effort and thought into this, so I'm just going to try it first. I don't need to break it down. The breakdown's already there.
Yes.
I can just trust that, and then if it doesn't give me my results, I can go rethink it, but I've got enough to think about. So it's kind of nice that I don't have to think about this.
Yeah, it really is amazing, that she does that for us. And it's funny sometimes when you think there's something that's odd, or why is she having us do this, there always is a reason behind it. And if you just go with it, you can just see how it turns out.
Yeah.
Well, we have a couple more of our questions planned and about 9 minutes left. If anyone has other questions you want to type in live, that would be Great. We love the live questions. We had one question which we've talked about a little bit, but I would just like to be able to ask it of where do you live and what do you do? And you kind of mentioned a lot of things in the fitness background. So if maybe you could tell us how you decided to become a wellness coach like you are now.
Yeah, sure. I'm in Sydney. So I'm in a little place called Hornsby on the upper north shore of Sydney. And I started out, I've had a lot of corporate jobs on the side. I mean, I call them on the side, but they've often been full-time. But to me, they were on the side because they were never important to me. And I certainly have learned things from each one, but I never enjoyed a single one of them. They were always for the cash. And being brutally honest. And I started out as a fitness instructor when I was about 18. I started doing that and did that in different environments, corporate, gyms, private, all of that stuff. Found that the hours and the toll it would take on my body because of the amount of classes was just not sustainable for me. Moved away from it for a while, still always worked out with little breaks in between, and then went to yoga, discovered yoga, and I still use a lot of yoga philosophy in my work today. I found just these mind-stilling tools that you learn from yoga and the sort of inclusive and embracing your holistic self that it teaches, I think. And it's an age-old science, yoga, that comes from thousands of years ago. It's got such a strong grounding holistically in wellness and health that I think there's benefits for anyone in exploring that, and it certainly is relaxing as well. And so I taught that for on and off. Maybe I practiced for 15 years and probably taught on and off for 10. I found ultimately I just evolved away from it. I still believe strongly in the philosophies and ethics of yoga, and I certainly pull from that a lot in my mindset work and mindset tools that I develop for my clients, depending on what their specific roadblocks might be. But I found with the work side of it, the scheduling of it became not family friendly because, like fitness, people want to come and do it at 6 o'clock in the morning or weekends or evenings, and that just started not to work. And I wanted to do something. I took a little foray back into acting and realised that with a family, it was so impractical. And I also found, and which I expressed to my daughter very strongly now as well, and I feel really strongly about this, is that I was sick of auditioning and waiting to be chosen. And I was like, I know the value I have to bring, and this is part of it. And this came from doing my Tracy workout as well, is like getting this confidence about myself of knowing what I had to offer and what my gifts are. And I was like, I don't want to wait to be chosen. I want to choose what I get to do and when I get to do it. And I've said this to her as well, because obviously we live in a competitive world, and right from primary school, you have different things where people get selected for different things. And so always the majority miss out. And so I wanted to find something where I got to use, my acting skills, my learnings from yoga, fitness, and everything that took me like a good 25, 30 years to learn. I wanted to give people shortcuts because I'm like, wow, all this stuff, I can now compact this if I look back at it and go, this was a key moment, this was a key moment, this was a key moment. If I can pull those out for people, I can get get a happy feeling for myself of what I'm doing, because it makes me happy to share that. But I'm also giving something valuable to someone that's a shortcut, so they don't have to take 30 years to get the body that they want, or feel well, or have freedom with food and stop restricting, or move away from an eating disorder, or just feel comfortable in a social situation when they don't know what food's going to be served, or go on holidays and know how to get balanced when they get back or maintain the balance when they're there. Being able to give all of those hacks to people that took me a really long time to navigate through, and a lot of backsliding back and forth and trying different things, some that worked, some that didn't. That's how I ended up finding coaching, and with it was even finding a course to do, because I considered doing pure nutrition, and when I looked at it, I was like, this is a whole new area. Like it means a degree, and it means face to face, and that's not practical for me anymore. So I wanted something virtual. I found out. The question wasn't even there. It only evolved as I was exploring it. And so I found a really good holistic course that aligned with my values. And then I was able to embrace, like, that's why I love doing my videos and my little motivational pieces, because I'm like, now I can choose when I use my acting skills by presenting, because I love doing that. And I often get my inspiration for what I'm going to say when I'm working out, and I'll be working out and thinking, yeah, that's something that I'm thinking about right now. And I think maybe other people might be having this question as well. So I'm going to, that's why I'm often in my workout gigs. I'll think, well, after this, I'm just going to put these thoughts out there and see if that can be of benefit to someone.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we love those little tips and stuff that you give in the videos.
Awesome.
And like getting to learn about, your background and thoughts, especially on working out, wellness, all of that. So we have two other questions. I haven't seen any other questions come into the chat yet. Who else do you think we should interview for Ask Tamily?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Have you interviewed Erica Boom yet?
No.
I would love to see. Yeah, I'd love to see Erica's journey.
Okay,
that would looks really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. We will absolutely ask her.
Yeah.
Okay. Any others that you can think of?
Loretta at Loretta's Fitness Life.
Okay, we'll ask her. We might have asked before. Some people, I think maybe in the beginning, were like, oh, I'm not sure. So we don't mind visiting people that might have changed their minds.
Yeah. Oh, I understand this sort of thing. Some people don't like to be on camera and don't like to, have that kind of interaction. And it's not for everyone.
But I always tell them it's just a Tamily chat. It's not anything that people need to be nervous about or anything. It's just us talking about Tracy, which we do all the time. So.
Yeah, totally.
Since you have this audience with the Tamily, is there anything else you would want to share or tell them while you have this forum?
I guess I'll give myself a little plug while we're here at my just shamelessly, if anybody wants to contact me with regards to coaching, at @OneAliciaLee is my handle, and I can work with people via Skype or Instagram video, even audio calls, and I give DM support in between. So if because I find often things pop up for people when they have stress, or something might, like a social occasion might pop up that they're like, oh, I feel I don't know what to do, or like I had one client who is, and I should share that I've got two clients in Australia, at Cassidy Tamster and at Aussie Ematam, and they have just blown me away with their commitment, and they both have lost 8 kilos in the last few months.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and they were doing TAM already, but they both were like, oh, I don't know if I can do the advanced. Everyone looks like they really, it's so well, and they both started doing that, and have just done an amazing job with committing to whole foods and balancing their lives to create a whole new lifestyle that doesn't restrict anything but gives them results at the same time. So that's just so exciting for me to have that. And then with regards to that as well, not just those two girls, but anyone that sort of contacts me and sees my feed also obviously sees a lot of food that I cook. So my recipe book is on my website for download for $5.99 as well.
Awesome.
And I also have 2 free downloads